You are on the front line of pre-disease in your community. Every day in your practice, you have the opportunity to make a difference.
So it behooves us, it's to our advantage, to detect disease at a much earlier stage.
A tireless crusader for heart health in India. In his words, till a decade ago, it was the son pushing the father's stretcher into the operating room. Today, tragically, it's the other way around. So, what are we missing?
Every day at Apollo hospitals, we perform about 100 to 150 personalized health checkups. In this, one of the commonest risk factor, what we find is dyslipidemia. In these patients, particularly most of them are very young, they don't have any disease, they don't have any symptoms. So very difficult to make them compliant about following the lifestyle modification or drugs or both.
25% of MIs in India, the first MI occurs below age 40, and 67% occur below age 55. So we're seeing not only a tremendous high prevalence of cardiovascular disease, but also it's occurring so prematurely and occurring in the young ages of life, which are the most productive and the most tragic for the families.
It's too early for young India to have atherosclerosis. Can we take early steps to preserve the form and function of our arteries? Let's understand the root cause.
And the root cause is ApoB-containing lipoproteins. They're causal for atherosclerosis. I think the most common one that we refer to is LDL particles, the LDL cholesterol, are these lipoproteins that actually get inside the arterial wall and cause plaque development, ultimately leading to plaque rupture and cardiovascular events.
3 times greater reduction in cardiovascular risk with lowering lipid levels beginning early in life compared to late in life interventions. So, why the challenge? Where is the gap about early intervention in our guidelines?
Not only do we have a gap in recommendations from guidelines, we also have cultural issues, not wanting to take a medication, worried about side effects. So what we want to focus on is what we can do for our young patients who are at high cardiovascular risk for their lifetime, but yet we want to provide evidence-based therapies that can be both proven to be effective and safe, but also have established reductions in cardiovascular disease.
Today, we have a new class of medicine, functional foods.
In 2003, American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists published a guideline on the use of dietary supplements and nutraceuticals. I was fortunate to chair that particular task force. When examining dietary supplements, there could be an advantage of using dietary supplements that present a portfolio of bioactive compounds rather than a single bioactive compound.
And here we bring up the concept of using something that is more natural.
So there is a renewed interest around the world for alternatives to statins. So there are alternatives, you may call them softer alternatives, in younger individuals. These are bioactives. These are bioactive agents from food with multiple modes of action.
Such as red yeast rice. I've had great experience with red yeast rice in my lipid clinic. I use it very commonly.
After over 25 years of clinical experience, red yeast rice has been included in the latest clinical practice guidelines for dyslipidemia from the ESC. One of the important studies leading up to the inclusion of red yeast rice in the guidelines happened in India.
The study is called Essence and is published in the International Journal of Nutrition. And I think that this was a good example of how we can come together to actually, in a very short period, establish the efficacy and validity of newer therapies or newer nutritionals.
It showed that using this red yeast rice formula with a number of other important nutrients resulted in an LDL-C reduction from 146 milligrams per deciliter down to 102 milligrams per deciliter, 29% LDL-C lowering, and 55% of these high-risk patients achieved a desirable non-HDL cholesterol level. This is the type of evidence that we need to show that these products are both effective to reduce risk in these patients, but also safe and well tolerated.
Even in the United States, where statins are used extensively, I have had wonderful success with PreLipid for hundreds of my patients.
Patients respond much better to a food-based recommendation. So, in summary, there is a role for dietary supplements based on what your target is, and this is part of the thought process that the healthcare professional needs to consider, particularly in this emerging field of prevention on a population scale. Thank you.